bells and whistles sport, what fight were you most looking forward to watching this year, Ade?
Teofimo Lopes versus Vasyl Lomachenko. That's the one. I'm gutted has been pushed back to, I don't know, October, November maybe. Just because I think Loma at 135, look, it's not his best weight. I mean, as good as he is, I love him. He should really be at 130. So, and Teofimo Lopes is very, very big and will probably eventually even go to 147. So that's a great fight. I'm looking forward to it. I think Loma's still got a lot left, but I mean, we've seen it in some of his previous fights. People are starting to get closer to him. Luke Campbell, we saw it. Linares, we saw it. Even Pedraza, I thought he was a dominant and good performance, but even that wasn't vintage Loma, apart from a couple of rounds. So that's the one I'm upset about right now.
Yeah, I'm looking for. Well, I was looking forward to that fight, and I'm looking forward to it when it happens. Just to echo what you said about Lomachenko, similar to kind of what we were saying about Golovkin, and what I think we're probably starting to see now a little bit with Usyk is when you have these guys who've got such extensive amateur backgrounds, and you factor in all of those miles on the clock and the training camps, and also particularly somebody like Lomachenko, when you've had that many amateur fights, you're on weight for those fights as well. You're on weight for those tournaments. It's not like pro fights. And that does take it out of you. Obviously, we've seen him have some niggling injuries. We've seen Usyk now. He's got the extra weight on his body as he's moved up, has got the niggling injuries as well. So, these guys can't go on forever. And I think we have seen some slight wear and tear with those guys, Lomachenko being one of them. And you never know. You never know. I still make Lomachenko a quite sizable favourite in that fight. But Lopes has two things in his favour in this fight, in my opinion. One, he could punch. And two, he has serious self-belief. A lot of fighters do. All fighters pretty much at that level do. But he's got something about him, Teofimo Lopes. His dad's the same. His dad's like another sort of Angel Garcia molded type. And when you've got somebody like that in your ear all the time, that can only rub off on you in the positive light. So yeah, for me, selfishly, Inoue versus Casemiro, because I was going to go and watch that fight.
Okay.
Which I would never ever usually get the chance to, but it was the week before, or due to be the week before, Billy Joe versus Canelo. So I was going to be in Vegas anyway. So selfishly, that would have been great to see. But outside of that, fight I'm most looking forward to, Dubois Joyce.
Yeah.
Dubois Joyce. It. Okay, not going to try not to make the same mistake on this live and try and get through these a little bit quicker. Best managers / management team, Ade.
Well, I guess you've got to go MTK Global, right? I mean, fuck me, they're signing everyone. Everyone's with them. I mean, you're Dave Allen. I say you're Dave Allen because you've interviewed him a few times. Dave Allen's now with them as well. You speak to boxers and they say that they do a great job for their boxers. So I probably will go MTK, just because I can't really think of many more in my head right now.
Okay, Mitch86. How did you get into interviewing boxers, and have you always had a love for boxing? Ade, you first.
My love, I have to be brutally honest with you, my love was football, and it still is probably football. Ryan, who I used to do box talk with, is a massive boxing fan. And I used to go to his house most times and we would be around and just argue about boxing. And then we thought, fuck it, let's just go to boxing venues, take a camera like IFL were doing and interview boxers. So that's how it kind of kicked off. And then we've taken it from there. But my biggest sport is probably football, and then boxing a very close second. So I am a boxing nut, but I'm a football nut as well.
Okay. I'm not going to answer the same question because I've answered that a few times. Andrew J. Actually, I will answer that question very quickly. Mitch86. How do I get into interviewing boxers? I used to run several Facebook forums, boxing Facebook forums years ago, and then just kind of fell into it, natural progression, writing articles, interviewing fighters on the phone, then video, and so on and so forth. Have I always had a love for boxing? Yes. When I was a young kid, I used to play football to a decent standard until I was probably 12 or 13. So up until then, boxing was my second sport. And then when I stopped playing football when I was about 14, 15, it became my number one sport, and then went from there. Andrew J. Young, how long have you been growing the beard? I assume he's probably talking to me, but I don't know. I don't know really, mate. I can't remember the last time I had a clean shave. So the last time I had it trimmed was fight week of Wilder Fury 2. Yeah.
The last time I had a shave on this monstrosity was about 4 weeks ago. But it grows back so quick. Not there.
Clean shave.
No, I just take it down. I took it down when I was on Sky because I thought they might not let me in the building.
Mohammed, do you still have comments from last live? No, we don't, mate. Sorry about that. Flying through. NG13, Rob, the best in the game. Thank you, sir.
Agreed.
Luke Madeira 15 joined. Hello, Luke. You're a good guy. Thanks very much for being in here. Luke Madeira, proper boxing man. If anybody wants to follow him, please do so. Jamie Roberts, thoughts on Jordan Gill? Yeah, Jordan, I think he's been unfortunate. He's had a bit of a stop-start last 6 or 7 months. Obviously, he was very ill. He had, I can't remember what the problem was. I think he had an issue with his thyroid, I think. But yeah, really good guy. Was on a good little spell and then had a really, really, really bad night against Enrique Tinoco, I believe it was.
Happens.
Yeah, so, I mean, we don't know. I think that, you know, you have to see what a young prospect does when they're coming back from not only their first loss, but the manner of the loss as well. But, I mean, he seems mentally strong. He's obviously a talented fighter, but, you know, having that loss at this point of your career really doesn't put you at crossroads. That's way overstating it. But, you know, now the chips are down and you have to show us what you've got. So we wait and see, I think, for Jordan Gill.
Yeah, I echo that. Good answer. Very good answer, Rob.
Thank you. Mohammed, is Tony Bellew biased? I don't know, man. I don't listen really to commentary. I don't know. Probably most people, everybody probably is biased in some way, shape, or form, whether they like to admit it.
Of course, I was about to say that. Yeah, everyone, 100%, 100%.
Barry Nino. Okay, Ade, for you, does Bernard Hopkins outbox Canelo?
Absolutely. What? Bernard Hopkins is top 3 middleweight of all time. Yeah. He'll set him traps all over. Don't do that face. He'll set him traps all over the ring. Go and watch Hopkins against an aggressive Felix Trinidad. It's just boxing masterclass. It'll be a tough fight, obviously, because Canelo is getting better and better, but you're talking B-Hop. I don't know how old you are, my friend, but B-Hop, frightening fighter.
I would go for Bernard Hopkins to beat Canelo in a very, very close fight. Albeit with fair scorecards.
Yeah, well, I'm about to say if it's close and obviously Canelo wins, surely.
What's your first big fight night experience? Ade, what's your first big fight night experience?
Are we talking venue or just at home chilling?
I don't know, mate.
I remember the first big fight night I can remember is my dad had on Tyson Bruno. That's the one that got me hooked when I was young. So I'm going to say that's the big one that I can remember. Aside from that, everything in the 90s, Prince Nassim Hamed, Eubank, Ben, and later on Joe Calzaghe. But those fight nights on ITV at the time were just awesome.
Okay, will Akoli fight AJ if he has to for world title in maybe 3 years? Good question.
Good question.
I think if it was maybe if it was for the undisputed heavyweight title, I think maybe we could see that happen. But if
this is boxing. Money talks.
Yeah,
I think everyone says this. Money talks, mate. Friendships go out the window. They'll hug after. If it's a lot of money on the line, they'll get it on. I do think they're going to miss each other slightly, though. I can see Akoli hanging around Cruiser for a couple of years, and I see AJ maybe vanishing in a couple of years. So who knows?
Why do you think Rob McCracken is rarely mentioned when discussing the best British trainer? From Brett Smith John. Another good question from Brett Smith John. Ade?
Very good question. I don't know. Maybe because we only sort of visualize him with one boxer at a time. So Carl Froch and then AJ and then sort of the GB team. I don't think of him as having sort of 5 or 6 boxers in a camp at one time, like some of the other trainers we've mentioned. But no doubt, what he's done with Carl Froch and what he's done with AJ, fantastic man, fantastic trainer, sorry. And we don't really hear from him, do we? He's very sort of coy in his interviews. You don't really get a good interview with him as well, unlike some of the other trainers that we hear from quite a lot, like Ben Davison and Shane McGuigan and Dave Coldwell, that are great trainers. We hear from them quite a lot. So you can almost kind of pick their brain a bit. With Rob McCracken, he doesn't really say much. You don't hear from him at all, doesn't want the limelight. So maybe that's what it is. But look, top trainer. Top trainer.
Loves a nice cup of tea behind closed doors, does Rob McCracken. But yeah, just to echo that, he's done some great work with not only the likes of Carl Froch and Anthony Joshua, but a number of other Team GB guys over the years done great work with the amateurs, which we've seen British boxing reap the rewards of as a pro. But yeah, I think maybe that might have something to do with it, the fact that he's very much out of the spotlight. But yeah, fantastic coach in his own right, and somebody that a lot of fighters owe a lot to. So yeah, Rolib Molly, 23. I'm from America. Big fan of AJ Fury, Saunders, and Eubank. Cool, mate. Nice. Mohammed's best commentator, Ade.
It was Paulie before, but I'm going to go Andre Ward now. I like Andre Ward. Both of them, though, are fantastic. They break things down for you so well. I mean, if you are sort of just a casual boxing fan watching these guys commentate, they will break down just what you think is a boring straight right hand, and they'll tell you exactly why the fighters threw it, watch the fighters' feet. So they both break them down so well. So it's a toss-up between those two for me, Andre and Paulie.
Okay, can small hall shows get more television rights, etc.? Goodwin Boxing and MTK Global. Yeah, I'm sure they've tried, and I'm sure there are talks going on there. I know from personal experience that, you know, look, we've looked at trying to do some live streaming, but of course when you're dealing with small hall boxers and small hall fighters around that level, a lot of those guys are on ticket deals. So you start putting that on TV and start putting that on a live stream where you're not, you know, financially incentivizing the promoters and the fighters, then you're going to see a lot of fighters have to leave the sport because they won't be able to shift the tickets. People would rather, well, not rather, but it's a lot cheaper to watch it at home on a live stream than it is to stump up 40 quid for your ticket, 20 quid for your train, and drinks for the night. Before you know it, it's £100. So yeah, I mean, I think everyone would like to see that, but it's just trying to make it work for small hall fighters, really. Trying to fly through these. Stel 23, Rob, Ade, peace and blessings. Peace and blessings to you too. Sherry Abassi 93. Aram says Brook likely for Bud next. What are your thoughts on him moving back down? Also, how does that fight go? Does Bud dominate?
Don't like the idea of that fight at all. I'm a massive Kell Brook fan. Look, if he can make 147 healthy, then fair dues. But I just, nah. Brook's not making 147 properly, no chance. And Bud's just too skillful for him at the moment. I wouldn't mind a catchweight fight at 150 between Kell Brook and Keith Thurman. Like, I don't know, just a few catchweight fights. He's too small for 154. He's too big for 147. He has a bit of a problem, does Kell Brook. I like him a lot.
The problem with doing something like that is Brook and Thurman. Is that a big enough fight to sell without a title? I don't think so.
You don't think so? No.
What? If you're going to sell that as like a pay-per-view fight, Keith Thurman.
No, not pay. Well, then again, you're right. It had to be pay-per-view, wouldn't it, to make? Yeah.
So Keith Thurman versus Kell Brook at 150 for no title. I think Kell Brook should try and win a world title at 154, man. I don't think 154 is as deep as it was a few years back when you had like a prime Lara, Miguel Collins knocking about there. Canelo was down there, even Liam Smith. This is when like Lubin was unbeaten, Jamel Charlo was unbeaten. Like I think it was a lot stronger division 3 or 4 years ago. Now it's a little bit unpredictable, and I think that a lot of those guys can beat each other on any given night. So I think for Brook, stay in the gym, stay at that weight, get settled at that weight, and then try and pick up a world title. Like he was mandatory for Jarrett Hurd before Jarrett Hurd got beat. Like, you know, is J-Rock that much of a better fighter than Kell Brook? You know, we don't know. And then obviously we saw J-Rock get beat by Jason Rosario. So it's, you know, it's kind of it's a good time to be a 154 pounder, and he's got good rankings across the board, I believe. And, you know, I'd like to see Kell Brook fight 154. I wouldn't like to see him at 154.
What is he? How old's Kell Brook? 34?
About that, I don't know.
Nah, I don't know. I love Kell Brook. I just feel like I don't know. I feel like that's a guy when he was at his peak at 147. You look at the names that were around. Jesus, I mean, it was literally superstar after superstar after superstar, and he just didn't get those fights. And it's just it kills me. Kell Brook's story just kills me. But oh well.
1+1. Rob, you wipe the floor with Coogan. Yeah, 1+1 knows. He knows. What do you think of Ben Whittaker? We've already discussed him. Very good, very talented. Looking forward to see him, hopefully, in the Olympics next year, by the looks of things. Are some refs really paid off in some fights? If so, can you give examples of which fights you think it happened? I don't know, mate. You'll have to ask a ref. I've certainly never heard of it, but
No comment from me.
I mean, I think, how do I say this? So I think some people are just incompetent.
That's what it is, I think, as well. I don't think they're taking money under the table. I do think there are other ways of bribing refs rather than just giving them the bag full of money. But I do think incompetence is one of the biggest ones as well. Some of these refs are just shit.
Boxing Horse says, is the lightweight division the hottest in boxing? Lomachenko, Teofimo, Tank, Haney, Ryan Garcia, Campbell, Linares, Easter Jr., elite level talent. Ade.
Easter Jr. is at 140 now, I believe. So let's remove him from the equation. But it's very good. The easiest thing to do there is what you just did and reeled off the names. I mean, are those guys going to fight each other? So we can do that with every division, to be honest. But are those guys really going to get it on? Ryan Garcia, we have to wait and see what he can do when he steps in with someone that actually wants to fight back, which will be interesting. I think Devin Haney might be eventually the best of that bunch, if I'm honest with you. Just because Loma, like me and Rob said, is probably coming to the end in terms of the Loma. Gervonta Davis, I just don't think he takes it seriously with his weight. No weight jokes here. Luke, it's good division, but will they all fight each other? That's the question. I doubt it.
I'm going to answer that very quickly. Is it the hottest in boxing? I think so, yes. I think there's a lot of great fights to be made there. You mentioned about Ryan Garcia, Ade. I think if they're trying to make him versus Jorge Linares next, I think that's a very interesting fight. I know Luke Campbell wants the Linares fight. Campbell's obviously going to be boxing Fortuna for the vacant WBC when that
Will he now, though? Will he?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah. I think give it purely because of the circumstances and the situation that he's been in with the WBC for a while. So I think...
even if Devin Haney's fit to go?
Huh?
Even if Devin Haney's now fit and ready to go? Because I guess that was the issue before, right? Devin Haney was out because he was injured. Now with this long layoff...
I do think that the WBC will potentially give special dispensation to Campbell I think what will probably happen, provided this doesn't drag on for like 6 months or a year or what have you, I think Campbell will still fight for Fortuna with the winner of that fight mandated to fight Devin Haney when he comes back. I still think that will happen. You have to remember Campbell was waiting for a shot at the WBC title for a long time and then had to fight Lomachenko for it, which was not quite unprecedented. It has happened in some similar instances in the past, but highly unusual for you to fight a champion of another organisation for a vacant belt. So I think the WBC will probably see that Campbell does fight Fortuna. But I can ask Mauricio because I'm now the host of the WBC podcast. So yeah, there we go.
Hey, name drop.
I was looking forward to Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders. So was I, mate. Jake Jansen, how has Molina and Brazil had 2 world title fights, and yet White has fought 5 or 6 top 10 WBC fighters and no world title fight? Ade?
Well, I mean, let's not forget, people, that White did turn down an opportunity to fight AJ at Wembley, supposedly, right? Didn't want no part of the rematch clause, so there was an opportunity there. I don't know with Dillian White. I hope he gets his chance. I don't know when it's going to happen now. I did a video about a year ago saying he's not going to get a world title shot till 2021, and people laughed at me. Are you laughing now, people? I don't think he's going to get his shot till 2021, but just the way it works. Mandatories, situations, just the way it works, people, unfortunately. But he will get his shot. It's just when. I have no idea.
Okay. Why do you think Joyce is a big underdog?
Is he big?
I
think he's a big underdog?
But a lot of people are picking Dubois in that fight.
Don't know why. I mean, it's a close fight. I mean, if you look at their resumes, and especially when you add in the amateur stuff as well, I mean, Joyce really should be favourites. I just think that we get, or I say we, I think a lot of casual boxing fans maybe get carried away with the people that Dubois put over. I mean, Joyce would put all those guys over in exactly the same fashion, probably in exactly the same rounds as well. So I don't know. It's a good fight, though. I can't wait for it. Cracking fight. Who have you got as favourite? Are you allowed to say this kind of stuff?
I do lean towards Dubois. Yeah, I do lean towards Dubois in that fight. But Joyce is massively experienced as an amateur. He's fought some decent guys as well as a pro.
Yeah.
Boxed Ian Lewison in his debut.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Obviously, he boxed a version of Bermain Stavern. Boxed Bryant Jennings. You know, he's boxed at a much higher level than Daniel Dubois has as a professional. I do favour the freshness of Daniel Dubois, and I think that Joyce takes too many shots to be taking them from a guy who punches that hard. But having said that, Joyce has a fantastic chin. He can punch himself, and he's very physically strong. So Dubois, as strong and as menacing as he is, you know, he's still probably a couple of years away from his physical prime. Whereas I think Joyce is probably there. So yeah, I think it's a very good fight. I don't know about big underdog because I've not seen the odds, but I think it's a fantastic fight, and anybody writing Joe Joyce off out of hand is, in my opinion, a little bit far of the mark, but we never know. That's why boxing is such a great sport. We will find out.
Agreed.
I'm going to try and get through these. So we're trying. Dave Coldwell, he'll be cool. Oh, that must have been about Jordan Gill.
Yes.
So that's what we were saying, Mr. Coldwell. We look forward to seeing his next move. Interesting when he comes back. Ade, have you ever boxed before?
I did box as an amateur about 4 times at Newham Boys Boxing Club in East London, and my mum put that to bed straight away. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing? It's either football, basketball, athletics. Boxing isn't even part of it." But my brother, my older brother, boxed for them for a while, so I just literally followed him to the gym. That was all it was. But the problem was back then, in order to box, you needed to show your medical card. I guess that happens now. I don't know. I had to get my medical card off my mum. That's how the secret was out, and she was not happy at all. But even back then, and that was, I was about 12 or 13, I realized how hard it was. Like, boxing ain't a joke. Ain't a joke at all. So as much as I sometimes sit on this green chair and criticize boxers, I have an utmost respect for them because I would not do it. No chance.
Okay, Ade, who's the scariest man in boxing?
Oh, Dean White, easily.
Scarier?
It's not even scary as who?
Scarier than John Fury?
Ooh, fuck. You know what it was, yeah? I couldn't believe the size of Dean White when I first saw him. I was like, how are you that big and that scary looking? He actually reminds me of Debo from Friday. If there was a new Friday, an English version, he will play it. But yeah, you know what? I think I might have to side with John Fury. I'm thinking, who would I rather not fight? And I think John Fury. I'd rather not fight John Fury, so I'm going John Fury.
Yeah, I've never actually interviewed John Fury, but I had a coffee with him in Belfast, and he scared me to within an inch of my life. Honestly, like I won't repeat the stories that he was coming out with, but he had some interesting stories for a coffee at 10 o'clock in the morning in a 5-star hotel in Belfast. It was very interesting. Okay, Froch versus Ben. Ade.
Nigel Benn is my favourite sort of British fighter of all time, alongside Prince Nassim Hamed. But there was also vulnerability there with him as well, especially when he got angry. Fuck, that's a tough one, you know. My heart says Ben, my head says Froch. I hate that. But I might have to edge to... I can't. Not answering. Next.
I actually asked Jamie Moore this question in well, I didn't, Andy did, but I wrote the fight. Froch versus Ben. So if anybody wants to know Jamie Moore's opinion on it, go check out the Fantasy Fights playlist on Boxing Social. I'm gonna try and get through this. Comments on Turkey. No, I can't be doing that. Should Fraser Clark wait till 2021 for Olympics, or would you like to see him turn pro now? Not really a question for either of us, really.
How old is he, though? Out of interest.
I don't know exactly how. Let's have a look. I've got my laptop on my bed.
I'm going to say 30.
Who knows? Let's find out. No, he's not that old. He is 28.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. What's his ambition? His ambition is to win Olympic gold, or at least get to the Olympics. He didn't last time because of Joe Joyce. Time before that, AJ, I mean, not easy, right? So that's his ambition. Let him fulfill his ambition.
Okay. Okay, Ade, who would win, Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury?
Oh, Tyson Fury. And I've said this for a while. I know people say I'm an AJ fanboy. I am an AJ fanboy, I admit, but Tyson Fury is just too good, isn't he? To be honest, pains me to say it as an AJ fan, but I think if they fought 10 times, I think Fury would probably win 7 or 8. That's how much I'd favour Fury. But if AJ's watching, I still obviously love you, AJ.
I don't think he is watching, but if he is watching,
well, you never know.
If he's watching and he wants to go live, then you're going to have to.
Yeah.
Who is the best welterweight working today, in your opinion, Ade?
Welterweight. Terence Crawford.
Okay.
I don't even hesitate with it. I know you're going Errol Spence. We've argued about this before.
Errol Spence is the best welterweight in the world.
No, Terence Crawford is, people.
It's up to Terence Crawford to prove it.
Yeah, it's true. Terence Crawford would beat everyone that Errol Spence. No, would he? Would Terence Crawford have beaten that Kell Brook?
Would he have beat Sean Porter?
Yes. Yeah, Sean Porter's too reckless. He'll just pick him off, I think.
We'll see. Hopefully, I'd love to see them two fight. Obviously, they've been friends for a while, but spoke to
who? Terence and Sean?
Crawford and Porter, yeah, good friends.
Okay.
Yeah, I spoke to Porter about it in Vegas for Wilder Fury 2, and he said that he would have to speak to Terence and see if they'd be willing to put their friendship aside to fight. Which,
oh, wow. That's not going to happen then. That's never going to happen. The way fucking Sean fights, there's no friendship after that.
Yeah.
No chance.
That'd be interesting. Okay. Would Broner versus Khan make sense at Manchester Arena or in Vegas? Do you know what? I would love to see Broner versus Khan. It's one of the only fights I would like to see either man in.
Yeah.
Probably the only fight I would like to see Khan in, I reckon, is probably Broner.
I like that fight as well. When I was thinking, I spoke to, I say this, name drop again. I spoke to Khan on Talk Sport the other day, and he was talking about having 4 or 5 fights left. And I was thinking, who are those 4 or 5 fights? That would definitely be one. Adrian Broner. Yeah.
The Billy Dib rematch. Then it'd fight Boyat. Raiders Prescott rematch. Broner versus Khan. Sign me up for it. If that happens, that's not going to happen in Manchester or Vegas. That will happen in Saudi. There's no way that fight doesn't happen in Saudi. You're so behind. Yeah, we are. Yeah. How big of a miss was it for Eddie not to sign Vidal Riley, considering he wants to transition the YouTube boxing fans into boxing fans? I was very surprised that that Eddie didn't sign Vidal Riley. But having said that, Vidal Riley is obviously trained by Jeff Mayweather. I think he's managed, or he's part, or potentially under Amir Abdullah, who's a boxing manager, who also looks after Badu Jack, who's obviously with Mayweather Promotions. So it wasn't that much of a surprise that he went with Mayweather Promotions to me. But yes, considering what Eddie's trying to do, or what Eddie has started to do with the YouTubers, yeah, potentially. But there's Vidal's so young, like there's nothing to stop them working together in the future. But yeah, surprised maybe, but not ultimately surprised that he went with Mayweather Promotions. Who should Eubank Jr. fight next?
It's got to be Jamal Charlo, but I don't see that fight happening just because of the performance last time out for Chris Eubank with the fight against Korobov.
Yeah, well, it's only a round and a half.
This is it, and didn't look good in that round and a half either. So I don't know where Chris Eubank Jr. stands in this. Honestly, I felt like 4 or 5 years ago, there could have been a superstar there. And I genuinely mean it in terms of someone selling out arenas in this country and pay-per-views. Win or lose fights, right? Because he's not the greatest boxer in the world, but I just don't know what's happening. I feel like he's more interested in Fendi and showing us behind-the-scenes footage of his amazing house in Brighton. Don't know. No idea. I wouldn't mind seeing him versus Demetrius Andrade. Never going to happen. 2 different promotions, but that would be an interesting fight. But
maybe, I don't know. I think Eubank Senior is certainly savvy enough to shop around for the best deal, should we say? But the Korobov fight, I don't think really personally we can take much from, purely because however you look at that fight, Korobov was always going to start well. He's an superstar, like one of the best amateurs of the last 20 odd years, and he was always going to look great in the early rounds of that fight, partly because his style, and obviously partly because Eubank has conventionally struggled against guys who box and move. So it was always going to be a tough start to that fight for Eubank. It was just whether or not Eubank could start getting to him in the middle to late rounds. But you mentioned Jamal Charlo. That's obviously the fight they're trying to make, or they were trying to make. I would love to see that fight, and I think the build to that fight would be amazing as well.
Mate, you could sell tickets at the press conference. Honestly, you could sell them.
Really, really good. Danny Jacobs versus Billy Joe Saunders at 168.
Ooh. You can go first. Good question.
This is the thing with that fight. You've only seen Jacobs at 168 once.
Yeah.
You've only seen Billy Joe at 168 against Shifat Sufi, and
that Argentinian
against Caceres. So like,
yes,
Sufi's not hardly a stellar opponent, and Billy Joe underperformed against Caceres. So I mean, neither got. I'd like to see that fight at 160, but
all right, who wins at 160? It's a tough one again. There.
It's a tough fight.
It's good. Who said that? That's a good question. Who asked that question?
Carter, DJ, and 15.
That's a good question.
I'm good. I'm not. I can't answer it. I don't know.
I don't know. I genuinely. It's not. I'm not sitting on the fence. I genuinely don't know. That's a good one. No idea. No idea who wins that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move.
In my head, I'm thinking Billy Joe takes it, but I don't know. Am I living off the David Lemieux too much? I don't know.
Okay, right. Okay, Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis later this year. No, it's not going to happen.
No, no chance. Oh my God, no way would either.
Hrgovic or Hunter. There you go.
That's a very, very good heavyweight matchup. That is. Hunter starts fast. We know that. Just because he can start fast, because he's a natural cruiser. Hrgovic is one mean son of a bitch, though, huh? Fuck. If Hunter doesn't put him down early, I can see Hrgovic stopping Hunter late, you know? Because I feel like Hrgovic will just walk through his punches. Hunter's actually a harder puncher than a lot of people give him credit for. But if he doesn't hurt Hrgovic, and Hrgovic starts to get a second win, sort of round 6-7, I can see Hrgovic sort of piling the pressure on and hurting him. Like, we were there when Povetkin started to pile the pressure on him, and I thought Povetkin was going to... There's one point where I thought Povetkin could get him out of there, you know? So I'm going to go Hrgovic late. Or points.
Are both based in London, says Manuel Tingen. Ade is, I am not. If anybody wants Ade's address, let me know. The pie eating contest, Rob versus Ade. Well, we just bigged you up, Carter, DJ, and 15 for your good questions. That's a stupid question because obviously me.
You're done now, Carter.
Obviously me. Thoughts on Joe Parker? Will he be world champion again or just fringes? I have to be careful because I'm getting Joe on Insta Live tomorrow. I think Joe is going to struggle against the giants of the division because he's an average size heavyweight.
Mm.
And the biggest thing missing from Joseph Parker's game, in my opinion, and I can say this because it's something that myself and Joe and Kevin Barry have spoken about a lot on camera, is look, he's such a nice guy, and he doesn't have that, or hasn't shown that dog in him yet. That I feel like cost him the Dillian White fight, and I feel he was too negative in the Anthony Joshua fight and gave up the real estate too easily. Obviously, the referee was atrocious in that fight, but by his own admission, Parker wasn't as adventurous offensively as he should have been. So that needs to change. But in this era of giant heavyweights, he's going to need to fight the perfect fight to beat somebody like a Fury, or make significant improvements if he's gonna get revenge for that Anthony Joshua loss. So that's my feelings on Joseph Parker. There are definite areas that I feel like he needs to improve on and can improve on. It's just a case of will he? So we wait and see. What do you think, Ade?
I guess we don't know how these belts will get scattered. If AJ can't defend and he gets stripped a couple of times, then you never know. I echo what you said about him being too nice, though. He is just a nice guy. And he almost shows that in the ring as well. Like, he's a nice guy. I think the only fight where I've seen him sort of go a bit menacing was when he fought Carlos Takam. But I don't know. I like Joseph Parker. And the thing is, I think there are things to improve on with him and with what he's got already. You never know. I think he gets a lot more credit now because of that Andy Ruiz performance, because of what Andy Ruiz went on to do against AJ. So he's definitely in the mix, right? I guess anyone in the top 10's in the mix, but you're right. This is the land of giants, and he isn't a giant. He's a big guy compared to me and you, but I mean, these guys out there now are just monsters.
Okay, I'm going to try and skim through. As is Raja, haven't got a question, but love both of your channels. Keep up the hard work. Thanks, mate. Carter DJN again. Canelo versus Tony. Do you know what? Two quite similar fighters, I think. James Toney's my favourite fighter, but there's similarities between James Toney and Canelo. I think neither had the fastest feet or have the fastest feet. Both very, very good counter punchers, great defensive fighters who are not scared to stay in the pocket, which is a difference that between somebody like a James Toney and a Floyd Mayweather or a Pernell Whitaker. I mean, Pernell Whitaker stayed in the pocket probably more than Floyd, but defensive fighters who stay in the pocket and come back with their own counter shots as opposed to using lateral movement and you know, being on their bicycles. So I think Canelo and James Toney are very similar fighters, but I think James Toney would have beaten Canelo. 160-pound version of James Toney, 168-pound version of James Toney were phenomenal fighters. If people haven't seen James Toney at 160, 168, and you just remember the rotund version of him at heavyweight and cruiserweight, then do go back and look at him at 160, 168. The Michael Nunn fight, which he was losing, but still a great fight. The
Barkley fight.
The Barkley fight at 168, all the McCallum fights. You know, I think James Toney, beat Canelo, but that's no disgrace against Canelo. Canelo's a fantastic fighter, but I think they're two similar fighters, and James Toney's just a little bit better in certain areas than Canelo.
Yeah, I think you're being humble there. I think he's a lot better in certain areas than Canelo. And not only that, but the James Toney that we saw at sort of the higher weight classes showing that he can take a punch as well, which isn't always a good thing. So we know Canelo for sort of being this big puncher nowadays, all of a sudden. But James Toney could take a punch. So not only can he work on the inside, if Canelo did catch him, he's got a chin to kind of deal with that as well. So I think James Toney's a phenomenal boxer. It's just scary for me. Had everything. Fantastic boxer.
Great fighter. I think the way to beat, while we're still kind of hovering around it, the way to beat James Toney is to be very, very busy or very, very fast on your feet, a la Roy Jones Jr. or Dave.
Yes.
That's the way I think that you're best served in beating him, and I don't think either of those styles are really Canelo. So,
yes.
Yeah. Martin Mikolajak, I hope I've said your last name right. I've never actually never said your last name. That's Michael Hunter's manager, Ade, and he says that they would stop Hrgovic. Yeah. Which heavyweight can beat Fury, Ade?
Jeez. None. Who's out there right now?
Can is different to Will.
Okay, Can. None. Same facial reactions. None. We've seen him now go toe to toe. He can box. Tyson Fury is 20 stone and he fucking moves around like he's 15 stone. I just don't know how he does it, if I'm honest with you. He's on his toes. Like, he's actually on his toes bouncing, which is rare. A lot of these heavyweights are kind of really flat-footed. He now wants to sit on his punches a bit more so he can do that. He'll psych you out in the press conferences. We know he's all about that. And let's not forget as well, he's 6'9". He's the biggest heavyweight there is right now, and he moves like he's the lightest. So it's going to be tough. I mean, there are some good heavyweights out there. Let me not discredit them. The likes of Dillian White, AJ, Hrgovic, Hunter, Povetkin, Usyk, maybe, but nah, I just don't see it.
Okay, somewhat controversially, can beat Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder can beat Tyson Fury. He can.
Yeah, okay.
He can still punch hard enough that he can knock anybody out on any given night. It's highly unlikely, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But he could still knock any man out.
Good point. Good point. Agreed.
Nailed Fury.
Could Anthony Joshua not knock him out?
Yeah, I think so as well. He can, but I would give Wilder probably a bigger chance than. Well, I don't know actually, because I think to beat Fury, you need to be able to invest in the body, be a combination puncher. AJ can do that, and AJ can also box, which I think. Can he outbox Fury? No, I don't think so. But he can box certainly to a standard enough to give Fury something to think about, which is I think in the second fight what Wilder really lacked. Like he gave Fury nothing really to think about when he was being pushed onto the back foot. Whereas AJ's already shown in the obviously the Ruiz fight and the Parker fight that he can still give you something to think about and can box on the back foot. Would that be enough for Fury? No, I don't think so. But it would be enough to kind of set him up for potentially landing a shot to stop him. I don't think any heavyweight out there beats Fury on points. Put it that way.
Okay, not even Usyk.
I'd like to see that fight because I think it's too fantastic.
If we're point scoring now.
But I think Fury's just too big for
way too big, isn't he?
Like Fury's so long and he's got such good feet and he controls the distance so well. Don't get me wrong, Usyk's IQ and his ability to kind of have educated pressure and pressure fighters with his feet, which is what Fury's never had anybody at heavyweight who can match him for foot speed. So that will give him something to think about. But when push comes to shove, can I see Usyk being as successful enough for long enough spells in the fight to win it? Probably not. And I think as soon as Fury gets him in a clinch, what we saw against Wilder with the lean in and the putting the glove over the face and stuff like that to stop him breathing and just roughhousing him, I think you're going to see more of that. So I'd love to see the fight. I don't know how entertaining it would be from a casual point of view, but there'd be a lot going on in that fight for a so-called boxing purist to get excited about. I think it'd be a very, very interesting fight. But do I think Usyk can beat Fury? I don't know. I think that's a tough out for him. But having said that, I think Usyk, provided he hasn't deteriorated too much, is a real threat at heavyweight. Try and get through these. Do you think we will get a new Fight Night champion game? Hopefully. I think Eddie's trying to get it done. So yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, agreed.
Manuel Tina, love both your channels. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What are your take on how Khabib versus Tony will go? We've already had an MMA question, mate, so we're not going to do that. All right, guys, it's fight time. Rob versus Ade. Who wins? Ade would batter me. Ade's way too physically fit for me, man. I'll be good for like the first 15 seconds until like
15. I was gonna give you 2 rounds, Rob. I don't know about 15 seconds.
Definitely not. I'm also about 5 stone above my optimum fight weight. So yeah, not that. I think Usyk can get down and dirty too. Yeah, in some forms he can. You know, that is an art form in itself. But you know, what are you going to do? Roughhouse a 6'9", 270-pound beat? It's not going to happen. Ade, give us a smile. There you go. Beterbiev versus Bivol. I've got my views. Men got lucky with the virus cancellation. Beterbiev versus Bivol. I think Beterbiev wins by knockout. I
think Beterbiev will run through him like a hot knife through butter.
Bivol's a great fighter. I think Bivol is
He is, but Bivol's small.
Yeah. Any man who can make 168 pounds ain't going to beat Beterbiev. I don't think, personally. I don't think he punches hard enough. I think to beat Beterbiev, you need to hurt him and stop him. We've seen Beterbiev down a couple of times. Saw him down against Callum Johnson. We saw him dropped as well against Jeff Page. So he can be hurt, but Bivol, I mean, we've seen, again, it's kind of like the Guillermo Rigondeaux factor. Yes, he's a wonderful technician. Yes, it's very pretty to look at, but eventually people sort of get a little bit turned off. And I think that's what's happened at times with Bivol. I think he's a wonderful fighter, and I'd love to see that fight. I think it'd be a great fight. But yeah, I do think Beterbiev gets to him late, similar to the Vosdik fight. Very, very good.
Yeah. That'll be a good fight, by the way. Vosdik versus Bivol.
I'd be up for that. Stevenson versus Warrington. Who wins?
I've ruled out Josh Warrington far too many times. Selby, I said Selby. Frampton, I said Selby. Sorry, Frampton. Even Kid Galahad, I think I kind of edged towards Kid Galahad. I'm not sleeping on Warrington at all. I mean, Shakur Stevenson's obviously, even though Shakur Stevenson has said he's going up to 130, I think I said. Yeah, so I would edge towards Stevenson, but I'm not ruling out Warrington. No chance.
He just said, "Oh no, I'll never rule him out, man. I'll never pick against him." But yeah, Stevenson.
I think he's a more talented fighter, but Warrington, once you wind him up, fucking hell, he goes, doesn't he? Jeez.
Wind him up, Warrington. Best body puncher in boxing right now. Canelo be up there.
Yeah, definitely up there. Who else? I'm trying to.
Inoue. Do you know? I tell you what.
Loma throws good to the body.
I was just about to say Vasyl Lomachenko. I spoke to Luke Campbell off camera after he. Well, I think I spoke to him on camera about it as well. Hopefully, he doesn't mind me saying regardless. But it was one of the things that he said, that his body punches were so well placed, and he just finds the gap, the right shot at the right time, just under the elbow, and then switches it down the middle. And you know, he also sets a lot of his other offense up after, like, with his body work. So I think Lomachenko for underrated body attack, but best body puncher in the sport, I think, is probably Canelo.
Yeah, I mean, it's vicious as well from Canelo, just vicious.
Who would have won if Floyd and Manny fought in 2010?
What a question that is, because you're talking about Manny Pacquiao that put Hatton to sleep, put Cotto to sleep. Oh, that guy then. Oh, that's all right. It kills me that fight didn't happen. Oh, fuck. Don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer. Sorry. Next.
Okay.
What a fence-sitting bastard.
Mayweather wins that fight for me.
Okay. Cool. Easy. You said that as well.
No, yeah, but that's just what I think. I think we've seen like Pacquiao like beat up an unbeaten welterweight champion in Keith Thurman, in July. So, and that's however many years after the fact. So he still obviously had something left when Floyd beat him. Floyd was way past his best as well. So I don't know, man. I think style-wise, I mean, if you look at the problems that have given, like the fighters who have given Manny the biggest problems in his career, it's been Juan Manuel Marquez, essentially. So counter punchers, people who can control the distance on him. And Floyd wasn't as much of a combination puncher as Marquez, but still, you know, it's a similar counter punching style.
That's the same Floyd though that got cracked by Shane Mosley 2010. Like literally, Shane Mosley landed the biggest shot ever.
But
so
when was I'm going to check now. When was Marquez versus Pacquiao, the third fight? I thought Marquez won that clearly. Like I thought Marquez clearly won the third fight, and you know, there's an argument to be made about him in the first fight as well. The second, like, you know, and it's that kind of style. When was the third Manny Pacquiao fight? So that was 2011. So he lost the majority decision. So the year after, and I thought he won.
Okay.
Clear. So,
yeah.
So yes, Boazzi versus Yard, Ade.
It's weird. Prior to Kovalev, Boazzi. After Kovalev, even though Yard lost, I'm thinking, well, I've seen Yard now at proven world level, away from home in Russia. Fuck me. Oof. I would edge, gun to the head, Yard. Changed my mind in this so many times. I was literally Boazzi. Now I'm going Yard. I think Yard could get to him. I think Yard's decent, you know. People obviously don't like the Tunde, all that crap. Yard's a decent fighter.
Who's the fastest fighter right now? I would say still probably Gary Russell Jr.
Yeah, it's actually embarrassingly fast. Ryan Garcia's pretty sharp with his hands as well.
Like we saw Gary Russell against King Tug, and King Tug can really fight. And I thought boxed well as well. I don't think he boxed outstanding, but he boxed very well. And for the first 3 or 4 rounds, he couldn't do nothing with Gary Russell. Gary Russell just would find an exit always. Just always fast feet, fast hands, fast brain. I would say Gary Russell is still the fastest fighter. Fastest fighter of all time, though, in my opinion, Meldrick Taylor.
You know how fucking fast Pac-Man was?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even Amir Khan was super duper quick.
Yeah, but
Don't get me wrong. Are you talking hands or feet, everything?
Well, I don't know. They didn't specify, but I'd assume probably hand speed. Meldrick Taylor for me is cartoonishly fast. That's how I always describe him. Okay, question for you both. You must choose A, instantly 3 million subs, or B, an hour and a half one-on-one sit-down with Mike Tyson.
I don't know why I'm still frozen in midair here, but I would do the interview of Mike Tyson every single day of the week. Like, that would get me the 3 million subs.
There he is.
Hey, we're back again.
He's back. Okay, yeah, I'm going to answer that question as well. Definitely, 100%, I'd rather do the interview with Mike Tyson. Subs don't, they look great, and, it does help, obviously, having more subscribers, but if you look at us, for example, we've not even hit 90,000 subscribers, and we do pretty well. So with views and stuff. So I think a lot's made of subscribers, not unnecessarily because it is important, but yeah, definitely the interview, because at the end of the day, you don't get money for having subscribers either. Like you'd make quite a lot of money from an hour and a half sit down with Mike Tyson, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Who has the tougher fight scheduled? Chisora versus Usyk or White versus Povetkin? Easy answer to this is Usyk. I think Usyk is a tougher fight for Chisora than Povetkin is for White.
Yeah, all day long. All day long. Usyk's going to be a bit of a nightmare for Chisora, if I'm honest with you. Saying that, we're all basing this off Usyk that we saw a year and a half ago. Prior to that, not really the Usyk against Chaz Witherspoon, but if even 70% of the Usyk turned up against Tony Bellew, then it's going to be a difficult night to work for Derek Chisora. Very difficult.
Agreed. I think stylistically, if you were going to pick somebody who is probably the worst style for Chisora, I'd probably go for like a southpaw who can box, who's got good feet, and is intelligent. I mean, we saw like the issues that even in patches of the Senad Gashi fight, Chisora just didn't really look like he knew what to do with a southpaw. Obviously, we saw him against Artur Szpilka, but we also saw Artur Szpilka move back down to cruiserweight recently and rob by who I think he had like a half and half record. And Szpilka came over with a lot of Polish fans, and there was a lot of Polish fans at the weigh-ins and all the events and stuff, and even they were saying that he's certainly not the fighter he was, and they expected him to lose, which is quite interesting. Liam Kerrigan art, right, guys? If you're watching and you're like me and you enjoy some artwork and boxing sketches and things like that, check out Liam Kerrigan art. I actually went to school with Liam Kerrigan, really, really talented artist, sketcher. So check him out. He says, nearly completed my image on Michael Buffer. Thoughts on Buffer? Shared a drink with him. Never shared a drink with him. Interviewed him a few times. Seems like a nice man. Yeah.
He's not real.
Yeah.
He's not real. I feel like he's been taken over by aliens. When I saw him in Saudi, I went up to go, I said hello to him, and it's like it wasn't quite real. I actually, not that I'm picking who I prefer best, but I thought David Diamante. I was always thinking for years, who's going to take over this thing, right? We've had sort of Michael Buffer and Jimmy Lennon Jr. for years. And I think David Diamante has almost just come from, I won't say nowhere, but in terms of to the general public, nowhere. And I think he's going to sort of do this now for the next sort of 20 years. He's very knowledgeable as well, as Diamante.
Yeah,
I've seen the few interviews you've had with him, and he knows his stuff as well.
An interesting story about Michael Buffer. I don't know how true this is, but a few people have told me it, so I assume it's probably true. I've been told that when he comes over to the UK, he stays on American time, which is interesting. So I think
I told you he's not real. I told you.
Everything apparently is set to American time for him. So like, yeah. But whether or not that's true, but it maybe would make some sense. Miguel Cotto versus Ricky Hatton at 140. What a fight! What a great
fight. Great fight. That's unbeaten Miguel Cotto as well.
Yeah, he was a beast at 140.
Yeah, 140, big, strong. And the thing about Miguel Cotto as well is that obviously he fought orthodox, but he's actually left-handed.
Yeah.
So his jab is coming at you like a right hand because he's left-handed anyway. And you talk about guys that go to the body. Ooh, Miguel Cotto to the body. I think he'll slow down Ricky Hatton's movement, and I think he'll stop Ricky Hatton eventually. But great fight for a few rounds. Great fight.
Okay. Do you give Lopez more of a chance to beat Lomachenko than Davis? About the same, to be honest. Both punchers. Yeah. I'd probably. I don't know. Yeah.
That's a great fight, by the way. Teofimo Lopez versus Gervonta Davis. Now that is a great fight. That one I'd love to see.
With Davis, like people, I've been hearing ghost stories about him for years, man. From like people who have no reason to lie. They don't like. They're not with Mayweather Promotions. They're not like in any way linked to him at all. But they've told me ghost stories about him laying people out in the gym, like middleweights with big gloves and head guards. And
wouldn't shock me.
He's a little monster. So I don't know. I think probably about the same. It's a good question, Dylan Terry. Dylan Terry, also another good guy on Twitter. But yeah, about the same. I give them both. I think saying a puncher's chance is probably disrespectful, but it's something like that. Like I think.
Yeah, no, there is a puncher's chance because they're not outboxing him.
Yeah, but you know when you say like I give him a puncher's chance, I think generally speaking that's basically you've got no chance, which is kind of true in this instance, but. You know what I'm trying to say, don't you? Yeah.
Yes.
Not in a disrespectful way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Not sure if you've answered this. Who has the better legacy, Mayweather or Pacquiao?
That is good question. I get this one a lot. I might edge towards Pac-Man. You know, I know people are going to come at me, but. I mean, he's fucking fighting in. What era is he fighting in now? I don't even know. I mean, you forget those the Marquez, Barrera, Morales eras. That almost seems like a lifetime ago. And then obviously jumping up to 147 and fighting Oscar De La Hoya, who was the A side in that fight. Then the Ricky Hatton, Cotto, Margarito times.
Margarito.
And now Furman. Huh?
He beat Margarito. He started at light flyweight and beat Margarito.
Doesn't make sense. At 154.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing him, buddy, bash up Furman. Nah, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's scary. 8-weight world champion. 5 of those are lineal. 5 lineal. So that means he's the man. It's difficult. It's difficult.
4.5. His
4 3/4.
Tim Bradley that shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I agree. But Mayweather's unbeaten. 50-0. I mean, what can you say about that?
I think like. The problem with answering questions when it's Mayweather versus Pacquiao is if you pick one over the other, you're immediately a hater of the other guy, and it's just that's just boxing. It's so tribal. But I would say Pacquiao. He won some, he lost some. Yes, he didn't retire undefeated. But if you look at like the memories and the fights that he was in, you know, it is unbelievable that he started his and like people forget as well, like one of the best wins by Manny Pacquiao was against Lelo Ledwaba when he boxed for the super bantamweight title on 2 weeks' notice, and that's his big fight that launched him in America with Freddie Roach. And he come in on 2 weeks' notice and beat the shit out of Lelo Ledwaba, who was the lineal champion at super bantam. He was a great fighter in his own right, and Pacquiao was just unbelievable. So I don't know. I think but having said that, if anybody wanted to tell me that Mayweather has the better legacy, you know, I think
I'll take it. Yeah, I'm not going to lie with you.
Convincing arguments on either side. You're talking about 2 of the greatest fighters, certainly of their generation. But
yeah,
you know, so I don't think there's a wrong answer there, providing you can back up what you're saying.
True.
Yeah. Chengla Bajo, shout out from Kuwait. Big up Kuwait. Shout out. Does boxing need a superstar like Conor McGregor? Who is the closest in boxing to being like McGregor? Tyson Fury, I would say probably.
Agreed. If we're talking about like McGregor, then yeah, I'd say that.
I think any sport needs a superstar like Conor McGregor, to be honest. You know, he could come over to boxing, but let's not forget, he gets the real paydays when he comes to boxing.
It's true, though. That's very true.
Right, what other ones have we got? Let's see what we can get. No, I love Pac-Man. He's fought better quality and better fights. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay. White Povetkin, how can you see that going?
That's such a good fight. It's such a good fight. I mean, it's one that was supposed to happen May 2nd, so no doubt it'll be pushed back now. But good fight. There's still a lot left in Povetkin. I think people think, oh, he's 40, he's probably off the juice, whatever people say. Well, what I say. But I think there's a lot left in Povetkin. In that Hunter fight, he showed me there's a lot left. He was coming on strong in the second half of that fight. And that's the time you think the younger man would come on strong. He came on strong. And Dillian White obviously came in severely overweight against Marius Vac. So I like that fight a lot. And I think it is a shootout, a big shootout between whoever lands first clean. And then we'll see.
I don't know if you answered my question, but what do you make of boxing shows without audience? Do we want them? I would take a boxing show without an audience at the minute. I just need boxing, man. I need any fight. And we're only like 2 weeks into it. So, do we want them? No, not really. In a sense, like the alternative would be great to have full arenas and stuff with great atmospheres. But you know, it's the sign of the times, unfortunately. But you know, if we had an option to have fights on now behind closed doors, would I take it? 100%, mate. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Like, take my money now for pay-per-view with no audience. I just need to see some sport, something, right? I fucking watch all of Netflix. I'm done. Show me some fights.
Not gonna lie, I'm distracted by how fine Ade is. He's not actually that good looking.
Well, you know what? To be fair, this is even me without a fresh. So you can imagine what I look like with good lighting and a real good fresh. I'm actually pretty good looking.
I was going to say he's not that good looking, but because he's underneath me, he's better looking than he actually is. Who's more likely to become a pay-per-view star, Tank or Garcia?
Garcia.
But again, it's tough. I mean, it's difficult, I think, to answer some questions like that because it will ultimately come down to which one of them can fight. Like
that's kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking if Garcia can box half as good as they think he can, with all his already social media presence, he's almost like a little YouTube star already, then boy, that's a pay-per-view star there. But I think Tank's the better boxer. But I think if Garcia doesn't have to be as good a boxer as Tank to sell pay-per-views, that's the point I'm trying to make, I think.
All right, Craig Scott, CS Boxing 209, who, of course, runs the Boxing Social writing team, or the senior Boxing Social.
I love his little podcast with a guy called Henry. I think they're quite fun.
A guy called Henry's in here at the minute, actually.
Is he in there?
He is, yeah. How would Ade rate your sofa out of 10? What, his own sofa or my sofa? That's a stupid question, Craig Scott. Shame on you.
Let's have a look at your sofa, Rob. I mean, obviously, I'm
in bed.
Are you in bed still? Okay. Oh, okay.
Nobody wants to see this place, mate. Was a fan of Triple G before he became a businessman. What fight would you have liked to see him in had he not been ducked?
Wait, sorry, 1 second. You was a fan of his before he became a businessman. Do you mean before he got paid to get punched in the face? I mean, come on, that's not his fault. He's paid the man, for fuck's sake. I'm still a fan. Will always be a fan.
Which fight would you have liked to have seen him in?
Canelo a year earlier.
Maybe a couple of years earlier.
Yeah, maybe even there was a time when I think maybe just before Groves fought Froch versus GGG.
For fighters that abduct him, I don't think you can't put Froch in that. So
for fighters that abduct him. Oh, sorry. At the time there was only 3. You're talking Jacobs, Cotto, Canelo. That's it, really.
Cotto ducked him.
100%.
Canelo waited him out, I believe. I mean, but the thing is with Jacobs and Canelo both fought him. So I would probably say Sergio Martinez.
What, did Martinez duck him, you think?
Yeah, big time. Big time.
That would have been a nice little fight.
So yeah, Martinez versus Golovkin would have been great.
Well, Martinez had no legs. You can't really blame him. He had no legs. What are you supposed to do?
This was before that.
Oh, okay.
Before he completely deteriorated. Like people forget how long Golovkin's been around for. Like Felix Sturm was one of the people who ducked him like most recently, and it was only because they were with the same promoter at the time that he never got the shot. So yeah, I would say Martinez. A guy called Henry asked how much to wear 7 jackets for a year. You can't take them off, and whenever someone asks why you're doing it, you have to say, "Leave me alone."
What?
So, by the way, the last question we had from Craig talking about sofas, and that question from Henry. Them two have a podcast together, so you can imagine how Ade, will the Box Park get together happen?
So Rob, do you even know about this? I don't even know, but I was supposed to do box talk at Box Park, end of May. I was actually going to ask Rob to be one of the people on the panel. So I'm just asking you now, Rob. I don't know, guys. Right now, I'm not quite sure. Box Park were very keen on it. I was obviously keen on it to take the green chair and a couple of other chairs I've got lying around. But as it stands right now, doubt it, which is a big shame. So if it doesn't happen in May, it will happen in June or July, but May, probably not.
Okay, I'm trying to fly through these at the minute. Shout out G-Man Boxing. Okay, yeah, shout him out. Kojo Kwarting's on here. Kojo from Raps on TV.
Oh, okay. Well done. I believe Kojo had a daughter recently. His wife gave birth, so congratulations.
Congratulations, Kojo. Good guy, very good guy.
Very, very good guy. Owes me a drink. So yeah, when this is over and done with, my friend.
That's my daughter running around screaming outside. So we're going to have a couple more questions, or a few more questions, and then I'm going to go. Beard games are strong in this live. Thank you very much, Mr. Social Misfit. Watch the boxing match today. That's an e-boxing match. I'm sure that's an e-boxing match. Chad Sugden versus what's the name? The Hennessy show. Anyway, I'm tired, but that's e-boxing. I've got enough of the EWBSS at the minute. So yeah. What do you think?
Oh, I hear the little one.
What do you think to these YouTube boys coming into the boxing scene, making pay-per-views? I love it, mate. I'm not going to lie to you. I love it. I'm not going to stand it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a traditionalist. I like to think of myself as a traditionalist, but I also run a business. And my job, I'm not just an interviewer. I'm what you would probably call a digital editor or a managing editor. And yeah, I like the numbers a lot. So I can't, like, I said this to somebody before on Twitter. I can't give like an unbiased opinion. Like, if I told you I thought it was a disgrace, then I'd be a massive hypocrite, because
big hypocrite.
We make a lot of money on it. And if I told you that it was great and it was the best thing to happen to the sport, then obviously I'm not being impartial, because I'm benefiting from it. So maybe Ade is probably in a better position to answer that.
No, I think I've always just not liked the fact that at the time they headlined a show and there was two Billy Joe Saunders and Devin Haney below them. That was my only gripe with it. The fact is, and having sort of spoke and sat down to you and other people as well that are in the boxing game, these guys generate a lot of money, not just for themselves, but for the boxing community as a whole. Everyone that's in boxing, when these YouTubers fight, eat off it. Trust me, guys. Everyone, from the writers to the recorders to the reporters to the journalists. And I'm not just talking YouTube journalists, I'm talking journalists for big organizations. Everyone eats. So as long as everyone's eating, including the boxers below them, not a problem anymore. Not a problem.
Don't get me wrong, like, I do feel like they should have their own shows, and I don't like world champions being on their undercards.
I hate that. Hate it.
But if you speak to fighters who have been on their undercards, so I'm like Billy Joe Saunders, Devin Haney, or fighters who have shared bills with them, ask them if they're bothered having.
That's the problem.
100% they're not. Their paychecks are bigger. They're getting more exposure. Do those people hang around? Look, I can only talk about it from what I see on our channel, and subscriber-wise, we net a lot more subscribers than we lose, and they do hang around and watch videos. It's just natural, but are they making up a massive population of the fan base? Probably not, but yeah, they're certainly not just turning up and leaving straight away. Rob, what's the dream for Boxing Social? Ade, what more for you? Very simple. Dream for Boxing Social is to just keep doing content that people like, that I like. But other than that, because we're in this lockdown, it's difficult to really be too much more detailed than that. Give me some boxing back first, and then maybe I can answer it. But yeah, just keep doing good work that I think boxing fans enjoy. What about you, Ade?
Just growth. If I'm honest with you, obviously you guys know I film from my front room, so I'm limited in terms of what I can really do. I don't really have a studio. I just have this green chair, and I film from this camera that I'm talking to you guys with right now. It is literally just grow. Whether that be a podcast, whether that be sort of getting more guys in to do one-on-one interviews. I'm lucky to have had Rob a couple of times. So from that aspect, growth. From what I do outside, again, just grow. More opportunities on Sky, more opportunities in all these other channels that I'm trying to chase. So yeah, 2020 was growth, but right now, fuck me, 2020 is survival. Survival. Enough food to put in the fridge, and hopefully when this is all over, everyone can get together and have one big old party.
Okay, right. I'm going to try and answer quickly. Couple more questions. Does Gary Russell Jr. cause Warrington or Stevenson problems? Yes. Massive problem.
Yes.
When you're
Big
fast
problem.
like that and you can box like he can, yes.
Absolutely.
Right, okay. I can attest to friends who are into YouTube boxing who also bought the Fury vs Wilder 2 pay-per-view. Something is working for sure. Look, if it brings even 0.1% of the fan base, you're talking about a big fan base, then that's a good thing. Rob, any chance we can get a 30-second clip of you shadow boxing? Absolutely not.
The funny thing is, yeah, people, trust me when I say this, Rob has got hands. Like, Rob, no, obviously got hands, but Rob can throw hands, people. I don't know if people think that, and I don't know if people think that in order to talk about boxing, you have to know how to box. But if that's the case, Rob qualifies because Rob can definitely throw his hands, people.
I paid him to say that.
Well, yeah, when I want to get the money.
Okay, right. I think we're gonna call it there because we're almost.
Wait. What's this question at the end from Mads? Am I looking for a wife?
Yeah.
When this Rona mess is done, Mads, I'm about to go into your profile and have a good look right now, matey. Might as well have a look, right?
It's the Boxing Social matchmaking show.
Yes, well, you want to take over the world? You can take over the world like this.
That's the next thing, isn't it? It's like we're doing Insta lives now, and in a couple of months' time, when we're still on lockdown, it's going to be like Boxing Social blind date.
Might as well. Because right now, at least see, you're locked up. Well, I say locked up. At least you got your wife and kids. I am by myself. Boring as fuck.
Ade told me yesterday that he was going to start retiling his bathroom. Which I
That's how bad it's got. And then I realized I didn't have the spacers. So has anyone out there got spacers?
Just throw them up, man. What are you complicated?
No, they're these nice little small brick ones, like these little 20 by 30 centimeter brick. They can't just be thrown up because it'll look all wonky. It's got to look good. It's got to look good, Rob.
I'm not a DIY man. But anyway, right, okay, we're going to shoot now. Before
I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed it.
Tom Lyons 98, big up Tom Lyons. Good guy, big boxing fan. Thanks to everybody who has stopped by.
Yes.
Much appreciated. Hopefully this has kept you somewhat entertained during a very boring time for everybody, including us. So yeah, thanks very much, guys. Thanks, Ade.
No problem, my mate. No problem at all.
And if you haven't already, shame on you. But if you haven't, go and subscribe to Box and Talk with Ade on YouTube.
Yeah, obviously.
I'm assuming that if you've watched 2 hours of us talking, that you're probably already a big fan of Ade because you're not here for me. But
well, no, I doubt. I think they're here for you, and I'm just that. I think a lot of people will be like, "Who the fuck's that guy?"
I think they think that about me because I stay off camera all the time. So
that's a good point. That is a good point.
Like,
yeah.
I did when we did our live show last weekend. We had somebody go on and like, "Who's this bearded guy?" Like, yeah. Sorry, mate. But yeah, thanks very much, guys. We'll do this again. I'm sure in the coming weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing on at the minute, so I'm going to go now. I've got a few videos that are going to come out tonight and tomorrow. As I say, there'll be new content every day on Boxing Social. Something new every day. No, we're not going to sit around. We're going to try and give people as much stuff as they can to keep you entertained during this lockdown. New content every day in some way, shape or form. So check it out.
Peace.
Bye, guys.